I've had what is called a very, very late shower. It's lunchtime. Hi guys, Renee here. Welcome back to the channel. I just thought that whilst I wait for my tofu to defrost to put in my soup, I would get these bottles put away and do a video for you guys. So I was intending to, for this day, which will be, I've got my handy notebook here, for Vlognarok 57, I wanted to do a podcast, one of my Chasing the Stars podcasts, where I give you sort of a more broad overview of how things are going and stuff like that. But I just saw Hannah Palmer's video yesterday on a writer tag. I just thought it would be a bit of fun. So I have my questions here. So forgive me if I look off screen for a moment. Question 1. What kind of writer are you? Well, that's a very broad question, isn't it? What kind of writer am I? A critical broken bitch that never has enough time? Or a writer with mummy brain? I don't know. It's a very broad question, so I'm just going to go with the first one, I think, first answer. Question 2. When did you start writing and what made you want to try it? Obviously, we all did the school writing writing homework. When I first started writing for myself, I was in high school. I think maybe 12 or 13, so it would have been year 7, year 8, so the first 2 years of high school in Australia. And I had just finished Lord of the Rings in grade 6, and my brother had given me V to read, which is a science fiction novel, and I read Dune as well around about that time, and I was just so in love with the worlds and the stories, and I was just fascinated with it, and that actually kickstarted my lifelong love of science fiction and fantasy, and I just wanted to make my own, so I did. Question 3. What inspires your stories? Everything. We are a product of not only our upbringing, but of what we see around us, and people, places, events, times. And it all just ends up in one big jumbled mess in the brain, and out comes a situation or a character that I feel is worth writing about. Question 4. What themes do you explore in your writing? Well, it's actually interesting because I've been sort of looking into this a bit for myself over the last couple of years, and to be honest, when it comes to themes, for me, most of my stories center around family. So whether it's found family, existing family, or non-existent family, it's about how people deal with situations and live. So yeah, family, I think. 5. Are you a plotter, pantser, or plantser? I'm a discovery writer. Question 6. Where are you in your writing journey? Okay, so I am a published author. I have self-published Where is Baba, which is a children's picture book. I also had some published works under my maiden name about 20 odd years ago. Don't even bother trying to find them, they're not worth it. And I am past first draft writer. and I'm amongst the editing writer stage when it comes to novels and novellas. Question 7. Have you entered any writing contests? Did you win any? I did when I was a kid. I think it was a local library one. I didn't win because they were after literature and I put in science fiction, so, you know. Question 8. Who are your writing heroes? Okay, writing heroes. J.R.R. Tolkien. I mean, that should go without saying. Frank Herbert also should go without saying. Stephen King. I'm not so much a fan of his books because I have enjoyed horror in the past, but I'm just not in a horror place right now. I mean, the world's horrible enough without having to read horror. But I really get inspiration from his book on writing. And if anyone ever asks me what book should I read about writing, I always recommend that one. And I think I still have to count Richard Morgan. Yes, see, book clubs. Charlotte, I'm looking at you. But he still inspired me. Back when I was at my lowest ebb, I just finished off, I was in the middle of my writing course, so I was just finished it, and I was feeling really down about writing science fiction and fantasy because what I wanted to write, I wasn't sure the world was willing to accept. Because I wanted to write really gritty, dark, in your face, sort of, yeah. And yeah, I didn't want to write anti-heroes. I just wanted to write the human condition. And I was sitting there on the train going into work. I ended up in a full-time job, which wasn't in the writing industry. And I was reading Altered Carbon, and it just opened my mind to the possibilities that what I wanted to write could be written and could be published. Because back then in the early O's, self-publishing was very, very new, and at the time it was very much for very amateur writing. So I was still looking at being traditionally published back then, and back then I would have had to have gotten an agent and an editor and they would have had to agree that what I was writing was worth being published. And then suddenly I had Richard Morgan to point out and say, well, he did it. So yeah, so I still have to count him, I think. And question 9, have you been to a writing conference? A writing conference? I've been to conventions, I've been to workshops, I've been, I guess, did I mean a convention? Because if you mean convention, I used to regularly go to Continuum, which is the main convention here in Melbourne for science fiction and fantasy, science fiction and fantasy works. I haven't been for a few years. I'm kind of hoping to go next year, seeing that the Lego event that used to be on at the same time doesn't exist anymore. And hopefully COVID won't kill it this year, well, in 2022. And workshops, I've been to romance writing workshops. I took a course at my local writers' centre for fantasy writing, science fiction and fantasy writing, where I had an amazing teacher. What was her name? Lucy. And so I've done a few of those things, but when it comes to a conference, if you mean like a state of the industry conference, no, I haven't been to one of those. And question 10, what are your top 3 writing tips? Prioritize writing. Don't compare yourselves to others. And have fun doing it. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you're doing well, and hopefully I think my tofu has defrosted enough for me to start my lunch. So I'll see you on tomorrow. Bye. Oh yeah, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the little diggly-doo thing to get notified if I do post up something new. And the questions will be below in case you want to do it. Stay safe, stay well. I'll see you all tomorrow.